The 40th anniversary celebration at the country club was everything my parents had ever wanted. Crystal chandeliers, a string quartet, 200 guests in formal attire, and enough champagne to float a yacht. My mother looked radiant in her silver gown, my father distinguished in his tuxedo, both beaming as they received congratulations from friends and family. I stood near the dessert table in my simple navy dress, watching my sister Claire work the room in her custom Marchesa gown. She had our mother's social grace, the ability to make everyone feel like the most important person in the room while simultaneously reminding them she was the star of the show. "Victoria, darling, you look tired," my Aunt Helen said, appearing beside me with her champagne. "Are you still working at that architecture firm? What do they have you doing, drafting blueprints all night?" "Something like that," I said. "Well, at least you have steady work," she said with that particular tone that meant it was a consolation prize for not being as successful as Claire. "Not everyone can be a corporate lawyer like your sister." Claire was indeed a corporate lawyer at a prestigious firm, making $300,000 a year and never letting anyone forget it. She'd made partner last year at 33, 2 years younger than the firm's usual partner track. My parents had thrown her a party almost as large as tonight's anniversary celebration. "Can I have everyone's attention, please?" My father's voice boomed across the ballroom as he tapped his champagne glass. The crowd quieted, turning toward the raised platform where my parents stood. "Thank you all for being here tonight," Dad began. 40 years ago I married the love of my life. Together we built something beautiful, not just our marriage but our family and our legacy." Murmurs of approval rippled through the crowd. "As many of you know," he continued, "we've been blessed with 2 daughters. Claire, who has followed in my footsteps into law and exceeded every expectation we had for her. And Victoria, who has chosen a quieter path in architecture." The implication was clear. Claire was the success story, I was the consolation prize. "Tonight," Mom took the microphone, her voice emotional, "we want to announce something we've been planning for months. The family estate, the Hayes Manor that's been in our family for 3 generations, needs to pass to the next generation." I felt my stomach tighten. The Hayes Manor. The 20-acre estate with the historic mansion, the carriage house, the sprawling gardens. My childhood home until we'd moved to a smaller house when I was 12 and my parents had started renting out the manor for events. At my parents' 40th anniversary, Dad raised his glass. "After much consideration and discussion with our legal team, we've decided that the family estate goes to Claire. She has the financial means to maintain it, the social connections to preserve its legacy, and the professional standing to represent the Hayes family name appropriately." Everyone congratulated her. The room erupted in applause. Claire's face lit up with surprise and delight, though I suspected she'd known this was coming. She hugged our parents, tears streaming down her face in a display of emotion that looked practiced. "I'm so honored," she said into the microphone. "I promise to preserve the Hayes legacy and make you both proud. This house represents everything our family stands for: tradition, excellence, success." More applause. People rushed forward to congratulate her, to admire her, to bask in the glow of her good fortune. I stayed quiet, sipping my champagne and watching the performance. My father caught my eye across the room and walked over. "Victoria, I hope you understand. This isn't about favoritism. It's about practicality. The estate costs $80,000 a year just in maintenance and property taxes. Claire can afford that. You're still early in your architecture career." "I understand," I said simply. "You're not upset?" He looked relieved. "No, Dad. I'm not upset." Good. We knew you'd be mature about this. Maybe when you're more established in your career, we can help you buy a nice condo or something. Something appropriate for a young professional." He patted my shoulder and returned to the celebration, leaving me alone with my champagne and my thoughts. The party continued for hours. Claire held court, discussing her plans for the estate, charity galas, garden parties, maybe even her wedding to her investment banker boyfriend Trevor. She'd already been engaged 3 times to 3 different men, but each time she talked about weddings like it was the first time she'd ever considered it. Next morning, I was in my home office reviewing architectural drawings when my phone started buzzing. Multiple calls from Claire. I ignored them, focusing on my work. Then a text, "Call me right now." Another, "What the hell, Victoria?" A third, "How could you do this?" I smiled and went back to my drawings. 10 minutes later my parents called. I let it go to voicemail. Then my mother's panicked voice. Victoria, Claire is at the Hayes Manor and they won't let her in. She says the security system claims you own it. This must be some mistake. Please call us immediately. I finished the design I was working on, saved the file and then called my parents back. Hello. Victoria. My mother's voice was shrill. What is happening? Claire drove to the estate this morning and the security system denied her access. It says you're the property owner. That can't be right. It's completely right, I said calmly. What? I bought the Hayes Manor 13 months ago. Closed on the purchase on October 15th of last year. Paid $2.7 million for the property, land and all structures. Silence. That's impossible. My father's voice came through. They had me on speaker. We own the Hayes Manor. We've owned it for 40 years. You owned it until last October, I corrected. Then you sold it to Hayes Property Holdings LLC for $2.7 million. That's my company. I'm the sole owner. But we never. My mother started. Check your bank records, I said. October 15th of last year. A wire transfer of $2.7 million from Hayes Property Holdings LLC. The sale went through your attorney Gerald Matthews. He handled all the paperwork. Pause. Then I heard rustling, they were checking their records. Oh my God, my father breathed. The sale last year. Gerald said we had a buyer interested in the property as an investment. He'd manage it as an event venue and we could still use it occasionally. We thought it was some corporation. It was my corporation. Hayes Property Holdings. I own 17 historic properties across 3 states that I've converted into event venues and boutique hotels. The Hayes Manor was the crown jewel I'd been waiting to acquire for years. But why didn't you tell us? My mother demanded. I did tell you, I said. At Thanksgiving last year, I mentioned I'd just closed on a major property acquisition. You assumed I meant I'd gotten assigned to work on some building project at my architecture firm. You didn't ask for details. You work in architecture, my father protested. I have a degree in architecture, I corrected. I haven't worked for a firm in 8 years. I run Hayes Property Holdings. We acquire historic properties, restore them and operate them as luxury event venues. Annual revenue is about $23 million. The silence on the other end was deafening. Claire drove to her new mansion this morning, expecting to walk through the doors of her inheritance. Instead, the security system denied her access with a crystal-clear message on the digital display. Property owner, Ms. Victoria Hayes. Please contact the estate manager for access requests. My phone lit up with her furious calls again. I declined them all. Victoria, my father said slowly, are you telling us that you own a $23 million business? That you've owned the Hayes Manor for over a year? That everything we thought we knew about your life is wrong? Not wrong, I said. You just never asked the right questions. You saw that I dressed simply, drove a modest car, lived in a small apartment and you assumed I was struggling. You never considered that I might be investing my money instead of displaying it. The apartment you live in, my mother said faintly, is that? A penthouse I own in a historic building I converted into luxury condos, I confirmed. The building generates $400,000 annually in rental income from the other units. My penthouse is 2,500 square feet with a private rooftop terrace. But you drive a Toyota, Claire's voice came through, shrill and angry. She must have arrived at our parents' house. You shop at outlet malls. You wear the same clothes for years. You live like you're broke. I live like someone who values financial independence over appearances, I said. Every dollar I don't spend on designer clothes or luxury cars goes into acquiring and restoring properties. That's how I built a $23 million business while you were spending $5,000 on a single dress. This is insane, Claire said. You can't own the Hayes Manor. Dad just gave it to me last night. Dad gave you something he didn't own, I corrected. He sold it to me 13 months ago. What he gave you last night was an empty promise and a public humiliation that you won't realize until everyone finds out you don't actually own the property you were bragging about. You have to give it to me, Claire demanded. It's my inheritance. It's rightfully mine. It's rightfully mine because I bought it, I said. Fair market value, legal sale, properly recorded with the county. I own it. You don't. We'll sue you, my father threatened. We'll claim you took advantage of us, that we didn't know what we were signing. You absolutely can try, I said pleasantly. Gerald Matthews will testify that he explained every detail of the sale to you. Your signatures are on multiple documents. The wire transfer proves you received full payment. And you've spent the $2.7 million I paid you. I can see the withdrawals in the business records you're required to disclose as part of the sale. No court will side with you. The $2.7 million, my mother said weakly. We used that to renovate our house, buy new cars, take that extended European vacation. You spent my money and now you want my property too, I said. That's not how sales work. Claire was crying now, loud dramatic sobs. You've ruined everything. I told Trevor we'd have the wedding at the estate. I've already sent save the dates. Everyone thinks I inherited a mansion. That sounds like a personal problem, I said. Victoria, please. My father's tone shifted to pleading. Be reasonable. We made a mistake. We didn't realize you'd bought the property. Surely we can work something out. Transfer it to Claire. We'll pay you back the $2.7 million over time. With what money? I asked. You spent it. You have no assets left except your current house, which has a mortgage. You can't pay me back. Then let Claire buy it from you, my mother suggested desperately. Claire can't afford it, I said. The property is now worth $4.2 million after the renovations I've made. Plus she'd need to prove she can afford the $80,000 annual operating costs. Her salary is $300,000 before taxes. After taxes, student loans, her luxury lifestyle, and that engagement ring Trevor just bought her, she probably has about $40,000 in discretionary income annually. She can't afford the estate. You've thought of everything, haven't you? Claire spat. You planned this. You wanted to humiliate me. I didn't plan anything, I said. I bought a property that came on the market. I've been running it as a successful event venue for over a year. You humiliated yourself by accepting an inheritance of property our parents didn't own. I just watched it happen. What do you want? My father asked. Money? Do you want us to pay you rent to give Claire the estate? I don't want anything from you, I said. I built my business without your help, your approval, or your belief in me. The Hayes Manor is my property. It's been generating $600,000 annually in event revenue. I have weddings booked there for the next 18 months. I'm not giving that up. You're really going to do this? My mother asked, her voice breaking. You're going to keep the family estate from your own sister? I'm going to keep my property that I legally purchased, I corrected. Claire is welcome to tour it like any other potential client. Our wedding package starts at $50,000 for the venue rental alone. Claire made a choking sound. $50,000? My father sputtered. That's actually under market rate for a property of this caliber, I said. The mansion holds 200 guests, the grounds are spectacular, and we provide full event coordination. Most comparable venues charge $75,000 to $100,000. I can't afford that. Claire shrieked. Then perhaps you should have a smaller wedding, I suggested. Or choose a different venue. Or maybe ask your investment banker fiancé to contribute. There are many options that don't involve me giving you a multi-million-dollar property. My father tried one more time. Victoria, we're family. Family helps each other. After everything we've done for you. What have you done for me? I interrupted. You paid for college, yes. So did I. I had scholarships and worked 3 jobs. You gave me a place to live until I was 18. Standard parenting. You've spent 8 years dismissing my career, pitying my lifestyle choices, and comparing me unfavorably to Claire. What exactly do I owe you? Silence. Here's what's going to happen, I said. The Hayes Manor stays mine. I'll continue running it as a successful business. Claire can book her wedding there at the standard rate if she wants, or she can find another venue. And going forward, maybe you'll think twice before announcing inheritances of property you don't actually own. People will find out, Claire said desperately. Everyone at the party last night heard Dad give me the estate. When they learn the truth, I'll be humiliated. Yes, I agreed. You will be. That's unfortunate. Maybe next time don't accept an inheritance without verifying you're actually receiving something real. I hung up before they could respond. My phone continued to buzz with calls and texts throughout the day. I ignored all of them and focused on work. I had a meeting with a couple interested in booking the Hayes Manor for their daughter's wedding. The venue fee alone would be $65,000, and they were excited about every detail. By evening, the calls had stopped. Instead, I received a long email from my father. An apology and explanation of how they'd thought they were doing the right thing, a plea for understanding. Nothing about giving me the estate or acknowledging my success. Just a request that I be understanding about their mistake. I deleted it without responding. 2 days later, my mother showed up at my office, the historic Victorian building I owned that housed Hayes Property Holdings headquarters. "This is your office?" she said, looking around at the restored hardwood floors, the period details, the professional staff moving efficiently through the space. "This is my building," I corrected. "Hayes Property Holdings owns it. My office is on the 3rd floor." She followed me up, silent as I showed her through the space. My team of 12 employees, event coordinators, property managers, restoration specialists. The conference room where we planned events at 17 different properties. The design studio where we created custom event experiences. "I had no idea," she said finally. "All these years we had no idea." "You had every opportunity to know," I said. "You chose not to see it." "Can we start over?" she asked. "Get to know your real life? Your business?" "Maybe," I said. "But not by giving Claire the Hayes Manor. That's mine. I earned it." She nodded slowly. "I understand. And Victoria, I'm proud of you. I should have said that years ago." "You should have," I agreed. "But thank you for saying it now." She left and I went back to work. The Hayes Manor continued to thrive. Claire eventually booked a different venue for her wedding, a country club that cost half what my estate would have. And every time I walked through the doors of the mansion where I'd spent my childhood, I smiled. Because it wasn't my inheritance. It was my achievement. And that was worth so much more.